Developing this morning, deputies in Mesa County are investigating after someone bought a house, started cleaning it, and found human remains. The call came in Friday from a house on Pinion Avenue in Grand Junction. The Mesa County Sheriff's Office is trying to figure out what happened. Right now, they're investigating it as a possible homicide. They've said that they don't think there is any threat to the community.
Today, the man charged with driving into Steamboat Springs High School is due in court. This happened last Friday night. Then Steamboat PD says the 19-year-old turned himself in yesterday morning when he went to the school to tell the principal. He's being held in Routt County Jail on 5 charges, including criminal mischief. It's a felony due to the cost of the damage to the school. Police say he told them he just lost control and crashed.
The man who hit and killed a Weld County deputy on her way to work will spend 24 years in prison. Deputy Alexis Hine-Newts died in the crash in September of 2022. Norberto Garcia Gonzalez wasn't supposed to be on the road. He had 2 prior DUIs. Investigators say he ran over Hine-Newts and took off. They found open bottles of alcohol in his car. Garcia Gonzalez pleaded guilty to leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death. Last week, a judge gave him the maximum sentence. New this morning, the number of overdose deaths frequently makes headlines, and rightly so. But what isn't always talked about as much is the number of people dying from alcoholism.
Right, but just like with drug addiction, there is help out there. 9 News reporter Anusha Roy joins us now. Anusha, what do the numbers tell us?
Yeah, well, especially during COVID, there was this steady increase in the number of people dying and their deaths connected to alcohol. And even with the numbers dipping, they're still higher than before the pandemic. And it's not just that, but these numbers are not far behind drug overdose deaths in Colorado. So just one example, in 2022, it's the most complete data we have so far. We lost 1,541 people in Colorado because of an alcohol-induced death. That's everything from car crashes to long-term health problems. But these numbers don't include people who died from cancer, heart disease, and stroke that are partially connected to alcohol. Also in that year, we lost 1,799 people to drug overdoses. We chatted with Steve Carlton, an addiction specialist, who said he hopes that more people will start paying attention to both.
There's been so much attention towards opioids, and there's much more stigma around opioids. Alcohol is an acceptable substance that a lot of people use, and so because of that, it doesn't gain as much attention, right? And so we don't think about it in the same way.
Carlton said in particular, it is important to see if you get sick when you stop using alcohol. We're talking about withdrawals, and that can be severe enough it requires a trip to the emergency room. Now, just like with drug addiction, there's a lot of help out there. You have Colorado Crisis Services. You also see the 988 number on your screen. You could also call the Substance Abuse and Mental Health National Helpline. There are also several treatment options available in Colorado as well.
You know, unfortunately, Anusha, I also feel sometimes in pop culture, alcoholism gets glorified a little bit in some of the movies, the shows, the music we listen to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a part of culture, right? It's a part of mainstream culture. And it really goes back to what Steve was talking about, is that it is really common. And so people don't always have that same perception or really know what the threshold is for this is something I'm doing with my friends versus this is actually turning into a health problem.
And there is help out there. So
Absolutely.
Thank you, Anusha. Another person is getting money from a settlement over how Denver police acted during the 2020 protests about George Floyd's death. City Council just unanimously approved the $2.3 million settlement. Jax Feldman was hit in the eye with a pepper ball. He was not part of the protest when an officer shot him in the face. Feldman lost his eye and sued multiple officers.
Right now, a bareback Bronco rider is in the hospital after he was knocked unconscious at a National Western Stock Show rodeo. 19-year-old Austin Roderson was riding on Monday when the horse stepped on him and knocked him unconscious. The stock show says that he is in serious condition at Denver Health. His Facebook shows he attends Casper College in Wyoming and is on the school's rodeo team. We wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 6:06 right now, taking a live look at Washington, D.C., where today President Biden will meet with lawmakers to try to avoid a partial government shutdown. The deadline is 2 days away. The proposed spending plan would send aid to Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, and the U.S. border with Mexico. The Senate already voted in favor of a short-term plan, but some House Republicans say they won't support any plan unless Congress makes some changes to immigration policy.
Continues to deliver full-year appropriations through regular order. Shutting down the government, even part of it, would interrupt this important progress.
If Congress can't come to an agreement by Friday, funds for several government departments will run out. That includes military construction, Veterans Affairs, transportation, the Energy Department, and housing. Then the rest of the government would run out of money on February 2nd.
The next Republican presidential debate is canceled. It was supposed to happen tomorrow. Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Donald Trump all qualify for this one. Haley said that she would not participate unless Trump does, and Trump said he was not taking part. So that would have left DeSantis as the only candidate on stage. Trump is not taking part in any debate so far. The last one was just Haley and DeSantis, and there is another debate scheduled for Sunday, though it's not clear if that one will still happen.
Both of those debates were supposed to happen before the New Hampshire primary, now less than a week away. All three candidates are heading to New Hampshire this week to campaign. It's the first primary election in the country. Trump walked away from the Iowa caucus 30 points ahead. DeSantis came in second, just 2 points ahead of Haley. President Biden's name will not be on the ballot in New Hampshire. Last year, Biden tried to make South Carolina the first primary in the country, but New Hampshire still set its date earlier. Because that goes against the DNC's calendar, Biden cannot be on the ballot, but voters can still write his name in. New Hampshire's election is on Tuesday.
Today, new medicine is set to be delivered to Israeli hostages in Gaza in exchange for more humanitarian aid for Palestinians. Qatar and France brokered the deal. It's the first diplomatic breakthrough since the plan for a truce broke down. At the same time, civilians in Gaza are rushing to flee as Israeli forces continue to strike. And the United Nations says that every single person in Gaza is considered hungry. It says Gazans now make up 80% of people facing famine worldwide. Today, 9 News is joining DU and the Denver Gazette for a forum about this war. We will have more information about where you can stream it on our website, 9news.com.
New this morning, China reported a record low birth rate in 2023. It is the second year in a row its population shrank. Experts say this will have a big impact for China, which is the world's second biggest economy. China's stocks are already down just hours after this new data came out. Last year was also one of China's worst economic performances in more than 3 decades.
It is now 6:09 on your Wednesday morning, and Boulder could redevelop part of town right off of Baseline, but not everyone is on board. Some people who live there are pretty worried about the proposal to remove a few popular businesses and replace them with mixed-use developments. Boulder's looking at changes to an area next to the CU's Williams Village residence halls. It would remove some businesses like the Dark Horse Sports Bar, a Boulder staple since 1975, Sprouts, Corelli's, and Cosmos Pizza. They'd fill the lot with 6 new multi-story buildings meant for a mix of student and non-student housing with some business space. For the first time, neighbors got to speak their minds about this plan.
The most important thing that Boulder needs is more housing. And so any way that can happen is incredibly valuable.
I am pro deconstruction of dilapidated 70s buildings, but I am anti-destruction of historical and cultural heritage, and thus Dark Horse.
The project still has to go through several reviews before anything happens.
And one thing you want to know about the weather is we've got clouds along the Front Range and snow building in from the west for the high country. They could get up to 20 inches of new snow up there. And down here from Aurora all the way north to Greeley, the northern Front Range, temperatures in the 30s and 40s under mostly cloudy skies today.
And thank you. Quiet start to the drive. We'll take it. 225 in Colfax is where we're looking live from CDOT. Northbound lanes traveling away from us. Southbound lanes headed toward us. Few cars out here. No major delays or crashes across the metro just yet.
Today, a crew of 4 private astronauts are preparing to launch to the International Space Station. It's the first time a private mission will send all European astronauts to the ISS. They'll spend up to 2 weeks doing research on microgravity. It will help with the process of creating the first commercial space station. Liftoff is set for just after 3 p.m. today from Florida.
The first moon lander in more than 50 years is headed back to Earth. Its mission to touch down on the moon failed last week because of a propellant leak. That leak slowed on Saturday, but the company behind the lander says it is expected to burn up as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. The mission one was to be the first time a private American company sent a spacecraft to the moon. It was supposed to be a step toward getting astronauts back to the moon.